race had already started. He was literally started parked one vehicle and then he came back in another.
The
Yes.
fact that I can start in park and bring a new vehicle out means I should be in all rights a lap ahead of you guys.
Oh,
Uh,
Becca's back.
Oh,
Becca,
look,
What did I miss?
Becca, we're very happy that you're back
can we just start?
because
Yes.
Jessup has not let go of
Is he still
in,
on his high horse trying to fight this?
his
You're
Yes.
lagging
inability to
again.
take it like a man. He
Yeah.
just is taking it. He's taking it like a 2-year-old.
Speeding up, no slowing down.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast for episode 15 of season 4. Like the title of the episode, it was definitely not Beanie season this past weekend, but we'll recap whatever we can with myself, Mason, the Pelkeys, Becca, and Jessup, and Mr. John Breckel, who once again is in parts unknown. How are you doing this week, John?
I'm in hiding.
Do we need
I
to get like some people to check on you?
they have to hide me multiple times throughout the season because with my exuberant personality on the mic and during racing nights, even though I'm Mr. Miserable, I mean, it just is, it's a conflict of interest of how I'm supposed to be miserable and then so nice and exuberant that they have to hide me. So people, don't come looking for me and try to see what is truly wrong.
Oh, it's because you're miserable.
Yep. Yep. So, no, I'm traveling for work again this week. I'm in Ohio, and then this will be probably my last work trip for at least a little bit before I hit kind of the month of August. I think in August I'll be traveling again, and potentially even in September. So, but besides that, it's been fun. The heat came with me. It was very warm here today in Ohio. Heat index up into the 100s with a lot of humidity and dew point. So yes, so I have brought the heat.
Very good. I'm glad you kind of brought it out of our area because, yeah, this weekend was not fun. Although, Becca, how are you doing? This is kind of your type of weather.
Yeah, super jealous. Um, I did see photos from the races at the Nodak Speedway, and the girl who does the Victory Lane interviews was wearing a beanie. So technically, your opening statement was not quite totally factual, but I'll let it slide. So um,
She is correct.
I was like, "Oh, is that me?" No, it's not me. Obviously, I wasn't in mine on Sunday, but I was like, "Ah, that's my style. I like her already." So I'm actually downstairs in our basement. I'm huddled up next to our space heater because I'm freezing because it's really cold in our basement all the time. But um, I'm good. Kind of bummed that I didn't make it to a racetrack this past weekend, but Mother Nature had other plans, and that's a bit of a disappointment. But got one more race this weekend before the 4th of July break for us, the Pelkeys. We typically don't do the 4th of July races anymore these days. We usually have other plans going on, but not exactly sure what those plans will be this year with a baby. But we'll see where that takes us. But yeah, looking forward to this upcoming weekend of racing, and then it's gonna be a small break for us before we Jessup and I go on the Dakota Classic Modified Tour. So that's coming up real soon. So super excited for that.
Well, didn't one of the last couple of years you have like an inflatable something? So I mean, I'm sure Riley would love that again or that.
Yes, and actually that got brought up. One of our friends is looking into doing that, so that might be this weekend or next weekend. I forget what weekend they were talking about, but I was like, oh, I know a gal who can do that for you. So, yeah, we used to go pretty big for the 4th of July, but now that Riley's here, I don't know what our future holds, so we'll see.
Well,
Are you guys walking in the parade?
Yes.
Okay,
Riley
that was
has her own little race car, and
okay.
she loves to ride in her car. So the plan is to let her ride in the car as long as she's happy and fine. Um,
Okay,
and then if she starts to fuss, we'll hop a ride on someone's trailer and we'll ride the rest of the way. So
yeah. Okay, that was my thought process too. I was planning on being there as well, but I just wanted to make sure. Um, you guys were probably going to be there as well. So, because I need some backup in case, in case I have another run over incident.
yes.
oh yes.
And Riley's little car has cup holders, so now when I find my favorite candies on the street, I can pick them up and put them in the little cup holder, and I'll have candy for later. So
Jessup, we can't eat them anymore.
Yes,
Well,
we
that's not true.
can.
We can still grab them out of the cup holders.
Yes, we can, John. We can do anything we put our minds to, like steal Becca's candy or stealing candy from a baby.
This is true. This is very true. I mean, she can't eat it yet anyhow. She's too little.
I forgot John got ran over by a legend last year.
That does not ever go by me when we think of the parade. Just John getting mowed down by Don Hayes.
Yes. And Becca was so
God.
concerned.
Thank you.
I was pregnant and I was able to hop on the car and not die, but here's John just rolling on the street like
Yep, like dying. Yep.
I was like, oh my God.
Note to self, I don't plan on doing that this year. The dying part.
Are you sure about that?
I mean, I am miserable all the time, so.
You are Mr. Miserable. That is a
Jessup,
talented
how are
feat.
you?
I don't know. I'm almost like one of the last people being announced, asked how I am. I feel like I should be one of the leaders of the pack.
I've asked how you've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Not this week, when I'm the
Not-
leader of the pack.
Not
You're the
this
leader?
week.
Oh, I don't know if that's true.
I should be.
Oh, I just don't know if that's still not true.
Do you want to explain how you're
Someone's being
doing, Jess,
emotional.
before I move on?
Jessup, how are you doing?
I'm emotional now, John.
He's disappointed in himself.
How am I not leading?
I can
Mason?
explain it in just a second.
Mason,
I don't
you need
want
to
to
bring up.
explain.
Do you need to bring up the rule book?
What rule book?
We have rules here. I can.
Yeah. You know what rules? You know what?
Oh, it's just like some people we know, Mason. Rules for thee, but not for me.
What
You
did I
see
do
this
wrong?
rule? Section 6, Rule B, changing of vehicles, in this case devices, which, if you watched our previous episode, episode 14, you had started on your computer. You finished the episode on your phone, so you changed vehicles. Hence, why you're starting in the rear of the field, according to
I like to
Rule B,
believe
Section 6.
that's such a load of shit, Mason. I do something to make it easier for you, and you try to me over like this.
To be fair, there was a caution thrown on you for delaying the show because you didn't have your wins the week. And when we had pretty much an hour's worth of content for you to come
I
up with.
believe if I was not mistaken, Mason. So hold on. If you're gonna do that, I'm gonna throw this out. Rules
Now,
for
what-
thee and not for me, hey Mason. Was the green flag shown yet? You can't throw a caution out on it prior to the green flag, so I'm giving it back to you. Get your ass to the
Actually,
back row.
by
Get
that
to the
time,
back
it was
row,
actually
Mason.
thrown.
Get
It
to
was.
the back row.
It
Nope.
was
It was-
thrown.
Nope.
It was already
Okay.
thrown, and then Jessup went in the pits, and didn't have to just change drivers to stay in the same car. He
Also,
changed vehicles.
this wasn't made aware of the morning after, so I'm sorry. There were no cautions thrown during that thing. And
Since when has it
The
ever
board-
been notified the morning after?
that's always been the morning after, Mason.
It's not in the rulebook, Jessup, so I think you're just screwed.
I think you're making up the rules as we go, and I'm going to petition this.
Jessup, take your
My rule's
caution like a
been there
man.
since at least April.
Thank you, Becca.
Becca, be quiet.
I myself am doing great, even
Nobody asked, Mason. Let's get to the green flag.
I don't care. Before we get
Well,
to the
then
green flag, we
the
have to
show has
thank
begun.
our listeners,
Yes.
watchers of the Track Packers podcast. Thank you for supporting us all season long. I want to give a couple of shout outs, including to Tim Baldwin, promoter at the Jamestown Speedway, watching us, along with Tucker Quinn, all the way from Wisconsin. Checks in with all the episodes. So I
Tucker, I'm
hopefully,
going to need a ruling from you.
yeah, go ahead. Give a ruling for us.
Let our people speak. Let them have
Yes.
voice, Mason.
That would actually help in a lot of the decision making on this show.
It
If
would.
we have viewer
Here's the
definitely
thing,
would.
people. Don't kiss Mason's butt. He doesn't need it.
Mason
He's
is the
got a
most
big
popular
enough
one
ego.
on the show.
It's almost bigger. Becca, you're lagging again. Black flag.
Justin, we haven't thrown the green flag yet.
It's okay. Her car's not up to snuff prior to the race starting. She takes it back to the pits and grabs the rear of the field.
So again, thank you to our listeners and supporters of the Track Packers podcast, and thank you to our presenting sponsor, Hitch Harness, with Tyler Hall out of Fertile, Minnesota. Thank you for supporting us for another season here on the show. John, would you like to explain to the folks at home what Hitch Harness is and what services they provide?
Yes, you can check them out at hitchharness.com for any type of a truck accessory. But you know what their most important item is? Something to allow you to protect that hitch. So you do not want to be like a Jessup who is going through and throwing a temper tantrum and forgets to, bolt down that hitch to protect it. And what does he do? He leaves it unhinged. And it just flies right off of the truck into somebody else's vehicle and causes a lot of damage and injuries. So you know what you need to do? You need to protect that hitch. Hitch Harness has a lot of items on their website to be able to do that, along with a lot of other accessories that you can check out at hitchharness.com. So again, thank you to Tyler for helping us out with the podcast. And everybody out there, if you need a gift, check out hitchharness.com.
Absolutely. Well said, John. And thank you once again, Tyler, for supporting us. So as you can see, the lineup, a little different. John has now moved to the pole, followed by Beck on the outside pole. I have made my way up to third, and Jessup is tagging the rear of the field for this episode, which probably won't last long with the way the racing goes on this show. So with that, because someone's been itching to go here, we will officially start the episode with the waving of the green flag and get right into who or what we are repping. John, since you're on the pole for this episode, you can start.
So we have a huge upcoming weekend of racing throughout the upper Midwest. And guess what it is? The World of Outlaw late models are coming. They are going to be over at the I-94 Speedway in Fergus Falls on Thursday. Friday, they head up to the River City Speedway in Grand Forks. Saturday, over to Ada at the Norman County Raceway. And then they are finalizing their weekend over on Sunday at the Nodak Speedway since the first time since 1989 over there in the Minot area. So go check them out this weekend. I am repping your current points leader. That is Bobby Pierce, as he is the current World of Outlaw late models points leader of the 2025 campaign. He will be in attendance with a lot of other great drivers going at it against our local boys with the Wissota late models to see who can come out on top for that 4-day race swing this weekend.
Awesome shirt. I like the color of that shirt too.
I know, it's a nice blue. It matches my eyes.
Very well said. Excellent shirt, John. We'll move to Becca. Who or what are you repping?
I'm looking at John's eyes. Not sure if they're blue.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I am repping the 36th annual IMCA Super Nationals hoodie that Jessup and I got when we went to Boone many, many years ago. Earlier this week. Last week. IMCA announced that they have open registrations for Super Nationals. So if you have yet to go race or attend or just experience Super Nationals, I highly recommend it. It's a once in a lifetime kind of experience. It's one of the greatest racing vacations you'll ever take. Great experience. I highly recommend it, whether you're a driver, a fan, whatever. Head on down to Super Nationals. It's a great time. And yeah, so I'm repping the 36th annual Super Nationals hoodie.
Yeah, that'll
Excellent.
be the first week this year of September. So be sure to check that out.
That's coming up fast too.
Mm-hmm.
Is.
I'll go next with my stuff, repping the Street Stock Tour bright orange hat. I did not wear this at the track this weekend because I did not want it to get dirty. I actually really love the color of this hat. The koozie, I'm repping Bailey Roche in the 28 Superstock out of the Alexandria, Minnesota area. Races there, along with Fiesta City Speedway and occasion at I-94 when the Supers are racing there. And for the shirt, one of the races I went to last week was the USMTS race down at Watertown, and this is the 15 of Wyatt Gagero. Ran a handful of races on the USMTS schedule this year, and very, very young driver, just kind of getting his feet wet with racing with some of the best modified drivers around the country, and was having some fun this last weekend with a couple of the USMTS races kind of in the region and down in Texas. And so he was kind enough to give me a shirt when I was going through the pits collecting hero cards. So thank you, Wyatt, for loaning me the shirt. And so that's who or what I'm repping. We'll move to Jessup to finish out the segment. Who or what are you repping?
I am representing an old school Jeremy Keller black and white t-shirt. If you wear a size triple XL, it will be yours if you want it.
Wow. I didn't realize he had black shirts at one point.
Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh, there's something
Oh.
happening.
Uh-oh.
She's pulling off the track.
Yep, this is a caution flag. I will agree with Jessup on this one.
Hold on.
Yes.
She's coming this way. John,
She
you
has-
want to show her something?
Yeah, she's left her starting position.
Would you like to go and take care of Riley, who is crying?
Daddy daycare is over. The hours run from 8 to about 5. So sorry, this is on you.
See, Mason, I can never win the championship because
Well.
somebody
Excuses.
should take
This
care
is
of
This
not-
priorities.
This is excuses.
I
And just
feel
so
bad
that all of our
because
fans
this
know,
is not really something
all
that's
all of
keep
our
Pole
broadcast
Patrol?
listeners now know. Mason, shush. No more making up rules and our excuses. The race has begun, so I'm sorry. It is unfortunate for Becca, but to the rear of the field she goes.
That'll do it for the who or what we are repping segment, and we will move on to the hot sauce, hot memory rewind, and give a shout out to the 12S driver out of Turtle Lake, North Dakota, Isaac Sondrel. He did get a race in up at the Nodak Speedway, had a very solid run. He's very frustrated with his heat race results, but remember, Isaac, heat races don't pay, feature races do. So focus on that. They didn't pay the heat races this last weekend.
You said it as a generalization.
Quit reaching for cautions, bro. Anyways, solid fourth place
Done.
finish for
We're
Isaac.
back up front.
No, you're not. Sorry, but bro, you're not. Solid fourth place run for Isaac this weekend at Nodak to finish out the point season up there. I believe he also finished within the top 5, so fourth again. So great job, Isaac, this season for points up in Nodak. Be sure to stop down in the pits to chat with Isaac. Some of the nicest people you'll talk to is in the 12S camp, and they also have some of the great food and snacks that you'll find in the pit area as well. So thank you, Isaac, for supporting us on the podcast as well.
You think he'll send us a photo of the food each week?
I'm sure if you ask him, or probably we'd have to ask like Mariah. Probably Mariah would be the
Yes. Mariah
better
would probably
one.
be the better one. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have one you said for the hot sauce segment this week, Jessup?
I do. In honor of the World of Outlaws coming through North Dakota and Minnesota, we're going to pick up a race result of North Dakota World of Outlaws. And this was back on July 18th, 2020, at the Red River Valley Speedway. John, can you guess how many late models were in attendance?
I am going to say 34.
Close. Mason?
31.
Mason's closest so far and would technically be winning on Price is Right.
The Price is Right.
Becca, would you like to take a guess?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, look at that. He doesn't even, the chair doesn't have a guess.
Jeez.
Just kidding. There were 32 late models in attendance. Do you know who won, John?
Trying to think really quick. Was it?
There's some really fun names in this field.
I have a guess. I thought he
Go
won.
ahead, Mason.
Was
Take
it
a
Mike
guess.
Marlar?
It was not Mike Marlar.
Dennis Erb Jr.?
It was not Dennis Erb, although Dennis Erb finished 7th. Let's see. Did Mike Marlar even show up? No. I do not see him on here. He was, I'll give it pretty much away. Black Diamond.
Uh,
That's the chassis.
why do I keep
Ever.
thinking Daryl Lanigan?
Because it was Daryl Lanigan.
Mm-hmm.
He was still racing with that in 2020.
I think that might have been one of his final years with the.
Yeah, I think that was one of his finals.
Oh, okay.
Now, let's just break it down a little more into entertaining things. Daryl led laps 20 through 50 for 31 total laps led. Ricky Weiss was the initial leader. He led the first 19, and your hard charger was Chad Mater, who went +8 to finish 15th. Now, the highest finishing was Soda Car. I'm looking at it. It could be. It's going to probably be Dave Mass, who finished 8th, one spot ahead of Scott Bloomquist, and 2 spots ahead of Downey Schatz.
Wow. 8th place is pretty dang good.
That's pretty good, especially even at Red River Valley, where motors definitely do come into play over there too.
And then any interesting names not make it? Let's see. Not really. But there's a lot of fun names at this event. Your heat winners for the night were Ricky Weiss, Daryl Lanigan, Brandon Shepard, and Cade Dillard. Fast qualifier and heat, or qualifying flight number 1, or A, is Ricky Weiss with a 15:03.6. Flight B results was Brandon Shepard with a 15:677. Neat.
Wow. Interesting.
Some really fun names in here, like I mean, all the old World of Outlaw guys, but Ashton Winger was here, which is kind of a fun one. Jordan Yagi, Gary Brown, Mitch McGrath, Blair Nothdurft. Some fun names here. Just fun going back and seeing all the guys who came in, raced, and it was a real nice show.
I'll be curious. I haven't looked too deep into the schedule for the region, but outside of that this weekend, I'm curious of what kind of late models will show up, like not only from the national side, but also like the local side, because that's a lot of good races and tracks that don't get to race late
I think
models.
you're getting both Eisenshanks with matching cars, so there's 2. So you're probably going to get Donnie at least for Minot.
Yeah, I would say at least for Minot, because they're at Cedar Lake this weekend, right? The World of Outlaw sprints are. Yeah, so I would say he'll be there for Minot. And then I think Tyler Peterson plans on following almost the whole thing. I think Cole Schill plans on following the whole thing.
I'm curious how many are going to make the tow west.
Yeah, same, especially for Sunday. Yep.
Because if you look at it, I'm sure I hope there's a lot of help for the local drivers to stay with them and
Hmm.
keeping some of the traveling guys that go with them that aren't on tour. But um, the the schedule pattern doesn't really make a lot of sense. We're gonna go from
Down,
Minnesota
up,
to North
up,
Dakota,
and back.
back east to go back west.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for it though. I think it'll be a
Yep.
good show. I think it'll be a good weekend, no matter what.
Same. That's
Nice.
all I had.
Well, excellent. Cool addition to the Hot Sauce Hot Memory Rewind. I have 3 photos to share this week. You ready
That
for
is a race car.
what's that?
That's going to be a race car. I just know it.
You're probably right on that. You ready for
Yes.
the first one?
Yes.
Okay, here it comes.
That is a race car. If you could show it, please.
Ooh, that is Maria Brosick.
I do not see this.
At that time, it was Maria Konold.
That is
Oh,
correct.
there it is. Neat.
That is
That was when
correct.
she had her pure stock.
Yeah. Next one.
That's Jason Grimes.
Very good.
We're going to go Jason Grimes.
Yes, that is Jason Grimes. And the last one.
That is Chris Michelson.
Ding, ding, ding.
I'm not even going to say anything.
That's a Wishick photo, I think.
I think you're right.
I think that's a Wishick photo because I think that was a photo that was taken down during the. I want to say, was it during the sauerkraut? It might have been during the sauerkraut.
I think Cody was there for the sauerkraut that year
Mhm.
when I was digging through photos because I think I recognized that those buildings in the back of turn 4.
Yes.
I don't think.
Yep.
I think those are trailers.
No, there's like that little spout thing. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah. There's a couple things that are landmarks. I remember seeing that photo though back from the Tri-County Speedway.
Yeah, I think that's like a barn back there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris raced a modified for a brief stint.
Yes, he had Don Gupke's old car at one point.
Oh, really? That was Don Gumpy's car.
No, that wasn't the one that was his car. But when Chris went to IMC Modified, he had Don's for a few years.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
After Don had passed.
Gotcha. Alrighty. Well, that is it for the Hot Sauce Hot Memory Rewind. We'll move into the Track Packer report, which I was the only one that attended a race in person this week. So it'll be a little bit of me talking, but I'll breeze through a couple of the races before we kind of get to the recap of what you guys kind of went through for this weekend. Which the week for me kicked off Tuesday, as I mentioned earlier, down at the Casino Speedway, where the USMTS made their first appearance since 2022 back at that track, and that's one of the fun races to watch with mods, a lot of mods going at it at that tight quarter-mile track, and they put on a great show there. Very, very great race, 2 and 3 wide throughout the event, and came down to the last lap pass for the win. The other 2 classes in attendance for support were the Midwest Mods and Street Stocks, which Midwest Mods went to Blake Adams, who made the trip over from Cameron, Wisconsin, which I didn't realize this, but he's actually a relative to Rodney Sanders. Did either of you know?
Yep.
I believe it's on his mom's side.
Yep.
So I did not know that. So I'm like, oh, when I heard that, I'm like, well, no wonder he decided to make the trip over, which is, I mean, still a haul, but for USMTS National Series, not too big of a haul. But Blake Adams had a dominating win in the Midwest Mods. Andy Rosso took the streets in another great race. He's been kind of on a heater as of late, getting several feature wins over the last few weeks, and so he picked up the win there. And then your modified race came down to a couple drivers looking for their first win of the season, including Tanner Mullins in the O2 and Reese Solander out of Kansas. Reese Solander had passed Tanner Mullins halfway through, and then came down to a couple lap shootout, and Tanner Mullins got the high side, worked back in, and made the race-winning pass coming out of 4 to the flag stand. Very, very great race to watch. So congrats to Tanner Mullins for getting his first win of the season on the USMTS, and Reese Solander's still looking for that first win on the tour. And so very good race on a Tuesday night. Barely missed weather too as well. Barely. Because there was a storm that was really wreaking havoc up in Aberdeen, but thankfully it kind of dissipated before I got to Watertown. Similar to Thursday, where I actually got to announce at the Cheyenne Speedway. And yes, I did promote the podcast multiple
Good
times.
job, Mason.
Multiple times. Jessup, were you tuning in and listening?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go with that. I'll trust your response.
You know, Jessup, I'm just thinking out loud here really quick. I'd have to go back and listen to the podcast, but Mason, did you say you were the only one that ended up at a racetrack or a race this
I
weekend?
think he did at a race.
I don't remember what I said.
You ready for me to throw the caution, John?
Because, I mean, Thursday night we were at a racetrack.
Oh,
I think I said, did I say attending a race?
I think you
I
said
don't-
attending a race.
I'm going to put this down for now, but if it's warranted, I will throw a retro caution flag at the beginning.
Because no, Mason, we're going to turn you on, but we were setting up the sound system and board for Friday night's scheduled show at the Dakota Speedway on Thursday over at the Dakota Speedway to try to get our sound system back up and running to where it should be, and got that corrected on Thursday night. Before we also missed a storm that came across on Thursday.
I was going to say, did you guys have any weather on Thursday? No, it was kind of close.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little
Mhm.
bit.
Yeah, we dodged a bullet down at Cheyenne because it was supposed to be meet and greet night for starters, and so they had their regular classes in attendance down at Cheyenne, and as we were finishing up the heats, you could kind of see lightning off to the side, and it's like, oh gosh, we have a storm kind of brewing, and which turned into a severe thunderstorm because I believe 5 miles north of the track they ended up with dime size hail. So that's how close the storm was to the track. I was never really outside, but I don't believe we got much of anything like drop wise. So close call there. They decided to forego the meet and greet at intermission. They're going to do that later on in the season, but they wanted to get the feature races in, which ended up being pretty entertaining. Starting off with the Bombers and Hobby Stocks, where the 4 of Cade Genskow got the feature win, the site of his first career win last season. So another great run for the 4 out of Lemoore. Your Legends race was another great one. We had young Regan Rankin in the 22 leading several laps in front of Ty Wilkie. Sean Johnson was running a really good line. Sean Johnson found the bottom and took him quite a few laps, but eventually made the pass with just a couple laps to go to get the feature win there. So congrats to the 58 of Sean Johnson. Midwest Modifieds was also kind of a wild one. Jaron Webstead got the lead away from Kyle Langland, but then about halfway through the race, I believe his right front shock broke. So that made the car a handful. And so he was duking it out with Kyle Langland. They kind of got together, which ended up spending the 36 out. Langland had to be charged with a caution for that. But then on the last restart, Nate Reinke snuck around everyone on the high side, and he ended up stealing the feature win. So congrats to the 71 and Nate Reinke for stealing the win there. Your Wissota Street Stocks was being dominated by the 19 of Cole Gresseth, and he pulled off the track with 4 laps to go with overheating issues, which then handed the lead to one of our loyal listeners, KCU Satis and the 2U, to get the feature win. So congrats to the 2U KCU Satis. Your Gen X late models was also a fun race. Colin Compson, still kind of green in the Gen X late model class, was duking it out with Kevin Youngquist. Had to hold off several challenges from him, 27 Jared Hoos, and Colin Compson would go to score his first feature win in the Gen X late model. So congrats to Colin Compson. And finishing out the night in your short trackers, Hunter Goulet in the 7-1, who's had a lot of feature wins, but never won at the Cheyenne Speedway. Well, 6 years in the making, he gets his first Cheyenne Speedway win, and he was one excited fellow in victory lane. So that capped off a fun night down at Cheyenne Speedway, avoiding the storms. So that, I'll move over to you guys kind of for your little, what you guys kind of went through, because with the storms forecasted before they even hit, I'm sure there was a lot of discussion on what the plan was going into Friday night and even Saturday.
Yeah, Friday night was a discussion that started earlier in the day between the board of directors for the Dakota Speedway that then transpired into further discussion around noon that was made kind of right around that time frame to cancel the show on Friday night to protect everybody, since the severe weather risk had went from kind of a marginal to scattered to then even an enhanced risk for severe weather, and even a greater chance of for maybe some strong tornadoes on Friday. So the races were called to prevent anything because the storm forecast was calling for storms between right around that 8 to 9 time frame. And overall, it was definitely a good call since the storms did form and the strong line of thunderstorms that became a derecho went through the Bismarck Mandan area right between probably that 8:45 to 9:15 time frame and continued racing off to the east after that. And yeah, it was a very volatile environment, especially on Friday, because myself in general, I was watching the weather pretty closely because I watch the weather all the time pretty closely. But I was watching the weather pretty closely, and then after the weather had passed through like Bismarck area, I had really started following some of the storm chasers that were in the state. You know, you had Reed Timmer in the state with his live feed up. You had Max Velocity in the state with their live feed up with several storm chasers, as well as Ryan Hall, and a lot of them were next to the storms that were tornadic in nature and rotating. And I was following that for a majority of actually the night on Friday night to see what type of weather had truly transpired because the line of storms had created earlier, kind of in the evening, you know, right around that 6 time frame was when the line of storms started developing over there by the, you know, Montana and North Dakota line, kind of that line between the two states, and it created a line. But also, you had a random storm or two that popped up right around Jamestown that dumped a lot of hail on Jamestown and then formed a EF3 tornado over by Spiritwood, and that was a pretty big tornado that hit over there, hit a house, created some damage. Luckily, everybody was okay. But that was just kind of foreshadowing to come for the night because there was a lot of nighttime tornadoes that developed at various locations, and unfortunately, we had 3 people that did get killed during the severe weather during the night over in the Enderlin area as they had a major tornado get over there and hit a lot of facilities. So unfortunately, just a very severe weather type of night and very volatile environment for weather. I mean, there was a ton of tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, a lot of straight line wind damage throughout communities and areas, and just a lot of people impacted, especially on the east side of the state into Minnesota, and a lot of cleanup efforts that are still happening. So it was kind of a sad time for sure up here because we don't usually see weather like that too often. I mean, it happens here or there. We usually get, you know, a couple of really strong storms throughout the year, but to have the large violent wedge tornadoes was something that we haven't seen in years, and hope we don't see that again for a long time.
Yeah, definitely want to extend thoughts and prayers to those affected and kind of still trying to recover and piece everything together. I know like Bemidji, kind of close to me, they got really impacted by straight line winds. So I don't know if they've gotten power in a lot of those areas back today, but I know as of yesterday, several folks were still without power. So I want to send thoughts and prayers out to those communities affected. I know you guys were keeping me updated while I was at the racetrack on Friday. And Jessup had started giving me or sending weather deck updates, which turned into updates from inside the home because it was kind of getting that volatile of an environment. So
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was definitely kind of just an interesting day in general with weather. So you could just kind of tell in the morning that even just looking at the clouds and just kind of the feel outside, it was just not a normal day. Something in the air was just not quite normal for what we typically see from weather-wise. So yeah, so unfortunately, there was a lot of damage that happened, which led into cancellations across the state on Saturday, also into Sunday with conditions that weren't able to either be dried at the racetracks or just damage in general around the communities that'll led to cancellations because, like Mason, like you said, a lot of power lines down, a lot of trees down, just a lot of destruction in communities that is going to take a while to clean up.
mm-hmm. Yeah, besides the stormy weather, where I was at, kind of in the St. Cloud area, it was hot and humid and muggy all weekend. So no matter where you went, you were kind of in a not favorable weather situation. So it was definitely a weird weather weekend all across the board, and it's been that way the last few weekends. So yeah, unfortunate that a lot of tracks and people were affected by the storms this weekend, but hopefully we got that in our rearview mirror. We can kind of move forward with some consistent racing and some decent weather conditions. I will quickly go through my weekend recap as I was following the Street Stock Tour for a 3-night swing down at the Princeton Speedway, Ogilvy Raceway, and the Granite City Motor Park. First time being to Princeton Speedway, by the way. Have any of you ever been to Princeton?
Technically, yes.
Okay. being my first time there, that is a very cool track. I would love to go there way more often. The views there are great. I feel like it's almost like a wider version of Wishick in a sense. Because it
Yep.
kind of there's like a drop off the top of one and two and out around the backstretch with the wall in the front. That's like the closest thing I can equate it to. But it's fun and action packed. So that was the first of the 3 nights for the Street Stock Tour. They had 6 classes in attendance. They started with the Super Stocks, which went to the 32 of Max Nelson in the caution-free race, I believe. So good job to the Super Stocks on that. Mod 4s went to the 5H of Dustin Holquist, who is always a tough competitor and a national point contender. Midwest Mods also went caution-free with the 16 of Jason Vandenkamp taking the feature win and heavy battle through lap traffic. Street stocks were up after that, where the guy that's been the target or the guy to beat, going 3 for 3 heading in, Kyle Dykhoff, who was starting a little bit deeper in the field, had to get past the 11 of Sam Fankhauser halfway through, but he went 4 for 4 on Friday night by claiming the feature win. Sam hung on to second, and Andrew Hansen out of Iron River, Wisconsin was third. Your mods went to the 3T of Travis Schulte, and the Hornets went to the 23T of Anthony Jensen. So that was your Friday night action. Saturday was probably the worst of the 3 days weather-wise because it was 95 degrees, muggy, and no breeze. And I really wish Becca was down there because I would have loved to have seen her reaction.
Becca would have loved it. She would have been in heaven.
Yeah. I was like, gosh, Becca complains all the time. It's like, it's too cold. It's too cold. I'm like, this was your dang weekend to shine, Becca.
You didn't invite me over.
Well, I would have invited you, but I know you're kind of a little preoccupied with other people and folks.
True. Very true.
Yep. So Saturday's results at the Ogilvy Raceway, kind of a pretty easy recap in one aspect. Super Stocks kicked off the program where the 7A of Shane Zabrowski got the feature win. The Midwest Modifieds went to the 11R of Landon Rant. Your Modifieds went to the 7A of Shane Zabrowski. Second time I'm saying his name. Street Stocks was a awesome race, 2 and 3 wide, several cautions. We had 3 red flags, which was not ideal. We had Tommy Bagonis go up in flames for the first one. We had Lucas Boyce get hard into the wall for the second one. And unfortunately, coming to the checkers, Andrew Hansen took a nasty, nasty barrel roll heading off into turn 3. He was okay, car not so much. So they ended under yellow checkers with the win going to the 21 of Jim Gullickson, his first career tour win. Very hard fought battle between him, Cody Coomer, Kyle Dykhoff again in the mix. Andrew Hansen was credited with second after the incident, and Kyle Dykhoff was your third place finisher. Late models had the Cami Late Model Series there, where Shane Zabrowski got the Triple Crown for the night. It's a good night to be a Shane Zabrowski fan. He got 3 wins on the night, and Anthony Jensen got his second win of the weekend by claiming the feature win in the Hornets. And then finishing out the weekend at Granite City Motor Park on Sunday with 95 degrees, but this time a 20-mile-an-hour wind, so it actually felt way better. It's weird to say that, but it felt way better on Sunday than Saturday. First time seeing Crown Vics on the racetrack. Daniel Harstead, who's now the flagman at Princeton and Ogilvy, has a Crown Vic, and he went on to get the dominating feature win there. Street Stocks, another great race to finish out the weekend. We had Colton Brower battling hard, or dominating the early part of the race, but then a late race restart kind of changed everything, as Becca would say. We had drivers such as Justin Vogel, Jim Gullickson, and Tommy Bagonis, who emerged on the late race restart, ran away with his first career Street Stock Tour win. So great bounce back for the 04 Tommy Bagonis. Justin Vogel ended up in second, and Jim Gullickson capping off a great weekend in third. Soda Mods went to the 40D of Blake Adams. The Fastlane Northland Superstock Series was also in attendance, which went to the 1M of Kurt Myers. And Cole Elton claimed the Midwest Modified feature win to cap off the weekend. So that is the Track Pack report for this weekend, a one-sided Track Pack report for the weekend. So that means we'll move to what's upcoming next in the state of North Dakota with Mr. Dakota Dirt.
Did you know, race fans, you can check out Dakota Dirt because they are on social media platforms, and they're also on their website at dakotadirt.org. You can check them out for schedules, results, recaps, as well as weather forecast. Again, dakotadirt.org.
Thanks, John.
I'm curious, can you see specific traffic on certain pages? Because I wonder if the weather forecast got a lot of traffic this week.
I don't know. I haven't looked that closely in the last couple months. Um, wonder why that might be, Mason.
I wonder.
Anyways, it's going to be a pretty busy weekend here in our area. Pretty much kicking off on the 27th. 3 tracks racing this Friday. Wilson Basin Speedway is racing. They got their fair doubleheader this weekend. Night number 1, they have all of their classes, it looks like, with IMC mods, stock cars, sport mods, hobby stocks, and slingshots. Going off to the east, it's going to be the World of Outlaw late models at the River City Speedway. They, from what I have noted here, this is from the beginning of the year, so it could have changed. Looks like Midwest mods and street stocks as well for that show. And then we have the Dakota Speedway, which is the Merrybetter Hobby Stock Challenge Night of Legends as well. From what I have posted, all this could have changed as I did this back in like March. So it's going to be all the classes for Dakota Speedway. So that'll be a busy night over there. On Saturday, another 3-track night as Thunder Mountain Speedway is racing, as they have the IMCA Sport Mods, Hobby Stocks, IMCA Sport Compacts, their Enduro class, and Slingshots racing for Kids Night. Then the Devil's Lake Speedway will be racing as well. They have Wissota Street Stocks, Pure Stocks, Non-Wing Sprints. Is this the
The weekend of Racing Legends?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this isn't the Cliff Reeves Memorial?
It is.
It is, yes.
Yes, it is. It's $1,000.
Again,
Over $1,000 to win the streets.
this all changes from early March. But it should be a good week, night of racing. And then there is the Wilson Basin, who is also racing night number 2 of their fair doubleheader with all of their usual classes. And then Southwest Speedway is racing as well. Let me pull it up. It's not on my calendar as this got changed. And let's see what they got here. Looks like meet and greet at 5 to 5:30. It's an NX Legends special. And yeah, should be a good night of racing for them. And that should wrap up your Saturday night of racing. And then Sunday is the World of Outlaws at the Nodak Speedway. And that'll be a good show. The support class will be the IMCA Modifieds. So they're pulling out all the big guns for that event for Minot. And, you know, Mason, why not pull out all the big guns and pull out all the stops for a good evening of racing?
Sure.
Why not?
Sure. So Jessup mentioned the Night of the Legends. Becca, do you want to explain exactly what the Night of the Legends is? Because it's a different race than normal.
Yeah, of course. So typically, your legends race as one big class, right? Well, what most people might not realize is the legends are actually broken down into 5 separate divisions. So your young lions are your newest, most inexperienced drivers on the track, typically the youngest. So those are your young lions. Then you have your semi-pros, which are a little bit older, have a few more years of experience. And then you have your pros, masters, and golden masters. So there's 5 different racing divisions. So Dakota Speedway is going to split those racing divisions, and they're going to race against similar classes. So the young lions and semi-pros are going to race against each other. And then the pros, masters, and golden masters are going to race against each other. So you're going to have younger, fresh drivers racing against each other, and you're going to have your more experienced drivers racing against each other. So instead of having one regular night of racing with heats, B mains, and a feature with taking the top 24, now you're going to have everyone's going to have a chance to race in the feature and race for the top prize. So no matter where the top divisional winners place, so obviously there's going to be two in victory lane that they're going to take the overall first place, right? You still have two other divisional leaders, and no matter where they finish in the running order, they're also going to take home $500. So it's $500 to win your feature. But let's say a semi-pro wins the feature, but then your highest finishing young lion finishes fifth. Well, that fifth place driver is going to also take home $500. So it's a unique concept. It allows different people to race for the win that you typically wouldn't see racing up front and leading laps and competing for the win. So I really enjoy it because the young lions and semi-pros, that's pretty much the future of legend racing, whether they stay in the class for many years to come, or if they transition on into something else. So it's a really cool concept. Not nowhere else in the state does it, as far as I know. And yeah, it's going to be a fun night of racing for the INX Legends, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to watch like a race within a race in a sense. And I know John's done a really good job calling the action with both those, kind of keeping track of who's battling for what spots. So should be a fun race to watch. Thank you for the North Dakota schedule, Jessup. Outside the state of North Dakota, we got racing action starting on Tuesday, including the Hibbing Speedway racing with street stocks. So rare treat for street stocks to get to race at a track that they normally don't get to. The Victory Lane Speedway is also racing on Tuesday the 24th. Fiesta City Speedway is racing on Wednesday. I believe it's their fair special. So some fair races for some of the local racers down there. Thursday the 26th, Grand Rapids Speedway Racing and the World of Outlaw Late Models kick off their weekend swing in our area at the I-94 EMAR Speedway with Street Stocks and Midwest Mods as the support class. On Friday the 27th, the Brown County Speedway has the Midwest Sprint Touring Series, and I believe the NOSA Sprint cars are also racing down there. So rare treat for the fans down in Aberdeen, South Dakota, get to see sprint cars. So that'll be a fun show for them. Princeton Speedway has their Kids Night, Meet the Drivers, and the Red Cedar Speedway is also racing. Saturday the 28th, we have Greenbush Race Park in action. Norman County Raceway has the Road of Outlaw Late Models there. I believe the support class for them is the IMCA stock cars. So that should be a good show over in Ada. Madison Speedway has the Timmy Imes Midwest Mod Special, and also racing is North Central Speedway, Oakley Raceway, Rice Lake Speedway, and Viking Speedway. And then Sunday the 29th, Bemidji Speedway has their Meet the Drivers night. Buffalo River Speedway also racing. The Casino Speedway has their sprint car night with the Midwest Sprint Tour Series and NOSA. And the Granite City Motor Park is also running. So there's a lot of big races taking place. And a couple of tracks racing on different nights of the weekend. So probably a different crowd that's going to show up on those nights too. So definitely encourage you folks. Hopefully the weather's great, decent and not hot, so we can all go and enjoy the races this weekend. We will now display the white flag and give a shout out to our good friend Brody Carlsrud in the B1 IMCA stock car, who unfortunately did not get a ton of racing in this weekend. He got a heat race over at Thursday at Norman County Raceway because they rained out before their night was completed. So unfortunately, not a lot of racing action for the B1 IMCA stock car, but looking to gear it up and ready to go for another busy weekend and getting prepped for the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, as I believe he's already registered for that. So you can see the B1 on tour this year. Be sure to follow his Facebook page, Brody Carlsrud B1 Racing, and also his podcast, The Real Deal with B1. So thank you, Brody, for supporting us on the podcast as well. Wins of the week. Jean Breckel, go ahead and start us off.
Okay, so you already mentioned one of the drivers that I'm going to take for my win of the week, and that's going to be the triple win by Shane Skabrowski on Saturday over at Ogilvie. So Shane was on a tear and unstoppable on Saturday night. So congratulations to Shane on a very nice three-peat on Saturday night. My second win of the week is going to go over to Kyler Satrin. Kyler picked up his 4th in a row hobby stock championship over at the Nodak Speedway. So track champion over there at the Nodak Speedway in the hobby stocks for Kyler Satrin. And he's actually kind of in the mix for national points, going towards that a little bit here in the hobby stocks for 2025. My third win of the week. Boy, who should I give it over to? You know what? I'm giving it to a driver who picked up his first win of the season so far in 2025, and that is Tucker Peterson. Tucker picked up the Wissota late model win over at the Devils Lake Speedway on Saturday night over there for the NLRA. So congratulations to Tucker on arguably one of the best looking late models out there in 2025.
I would definitely agree with that. Very cool looking late model. Awesome wins. Becca, go ahead.
I'm going to give my first win of the week to a father-son duo. Eli Turnbull found victory lane up at the Estevan Motor Speedway, as well as his dad, Aaron Turnbull, on the same night. This is the second time this season that they've done that. It was also Aaron's birthday this past weekend, so happy belated birthday to Aaron Turnbull. So yeah, my first one of the week goes to Eli and Aaron Turnbull for father-son duo, just sweeping some races up at the Estevan Motor Speedway. Second win of the week is going to Kyle Anderson, who found victory lane at the Tri-County Speedway in Wishick. This is his second victory in the Midwest Modifieds, which is a fairly new division for him, his first full-time season this year. So second win of the year for Kyle Anderson down at the Tri-County Speedway. And I'm going to go to, let's give it to Tommy Pagonis, picking up the street stock victory over at Granite City on Sunday. So a big heavy stacked field of cars, and it was nice to see a new winner find victory lane in that touring series.
Yep. That was definitely one of my ones, especially after bouncing back after being in a ball of flames on Saturday night. Jessup, I'll be nice and let you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I don't care.
Okay.
I need to find people because you guys took everyone. So on a limited weekend of racing, I'm going to have to start digging deep.
You might have to start digging deep. So my first win, mentioned him in my recap, but I'll give a shout out to Jim Gullickson. Very strong weekend on tour with 3 solid races. Claimed the feature win on Saturday at Ogilvy, and then was also top 3 in the hard charger on Sunday. And part of the win on Saturday, so a couple of the street stock race teams put in a couple extra $100 to see if anyone could beat the 11 Kyle Dykhoff. So Mr. Gullickson ended up with a little extra cash at the end of the night for that feature win. So congratulations to the 21 machine. My second win of the week is going to go to the 132 of Chad Stretchin in the IMSA Sport Mods. He got the track championship up there. He has been a runner-up 6 different times in his career up at the Nodak Speedway, so this is his first track championship. So congratulations to the 132. Who's your chatty, as they say. And then my third win of the week, we're going to go to Grand Forks, and we're going to give a shout out to Weston Olson, the 27 sprint car, for getting the feature win up at the River City Speedway. Big congrats to Weston Olson. He's been looking pretty solid in that NOSA sprint car, and cool to see a different winner there as well in Victory Lane. So those are my 3 wins of the week. So that leaves Jessup's wins of the week.
Alrighty. Just because I want to. My wins of the week goes to all of the Nodak Speedway season point champions. I don't want to single out just one driver because you all worked hard and you're all deserving of your flowers. And while John mentioned one, Kyler, congratulations. There's Stephen Pfeiffer with one. Can you help me with this last name, Chad? Is it
Strachan.
Strachan. With the Sport Mods. Zach Eubanks in the Sport Compacts, and Will Shareski picking up the Stock Car points champion. So congratulations to you guys. And looking elsewhere, we got to go with Buddy Kofoid picking up the big Huset's win. And then I'll throw Bill Baylog in there as well. He had a very strong weekend down at Houston's, picking up a preliminary night win as well. Then I'm going to go with Hank Davis. You're all wondering who's Hank Davis. Well, Hank Davis picked up the second night win with the ASCS Frontier Region 360 sprints over at the Big Sky Speedway, where he went from ninth all the way to first. So congratulations, Hank. Good win. Hank is out of Sand Springs, Oklahoma. And if I really wanted to get picky, I would add Kelby Watt with his IRA win down at Plymouth.
Solid wins. Very solid wins indeed.
Oh, Jessup.
What?
Oh, Jessup.
I had to dig deep. And
We
now
did have to- I was gonna say this week was gonna be a little tougher on wins because a lot of tracks got the kibosh put on them this weekend.
hold on, Mason. I'm not done yet.
Oh geez. One event I did forget to mention that's coming up this weekend, as I believe it's the Big Midwest Modified Race out in Sheridan, Wyoming this weekend. So I know
It is.
There's several drivers in the region that are planning to go out to that event.
Huge money show out there for the Midwest Modifieds.
Yeah, let me get the dates of those real quick. I believe it starts on
Thursday.
It's a 3-day show. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep. So
Where's
Friday
that?
the 26th, Friday the 27th, and Saturday the 28th.
Yep. So Legends are joining them on the Thursday portion. And let's see, the 27th, they have Legends again. And the 28th, Legends. So
A 3-day show for the Legends as well.
Wow.
Nice.
may get some visitors. You never know. Because that's not a regular class at Sheridan either.
Nope.
Anyways, in the Sportsman Truck Division, winner of the Baja races at the River City Speedway on Sunday, it was Bill Tim picking up the big win, going from fourth to first. The hard charger was looking to be John Erickson, who finished third after starting 10th. That was your Sportsman Truck Division.
Good job, Jessup.
When I got a notification that River City's picks were open, I'm like, what the heck is going on?
I know. I looked at that too and I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, it's their fair. That's
Yeah.
right. A lot of fairs are happening around the state this weekend too, this upcoming weekend, or this past weekend.
Yep.
So
Any other closing thoughts before we wrap up the episode? I do have one closing thought.
But yes, I do have one too. I have to give one of my other shout outs for the week was Austin Weiss for picking up back-to-back wins over the Tri-County Speedway. He was on my list of wins for the week if nobody had was going to take him. So yes, but back-to-back. I watched that feature race. It was pretty good from the Tri-County Speedway.
Yeah, glad that they were able to get that racing because I know the weather was kind of iffy
It was
for them.
very iffy on Sunday.
The closing thought that I had was to give an update on Nitro Jimmy Williams. For those that don't know, he suffered a heart attack after the races over at the Viking Speedway this past Saturday. And so, as of an hour ago, one of the racing pages from that area gave an update. All very good news. Slowly going to be removing sedation this afternoon and evening. Does need open heart surgery this week, but so far all tests are checking out great. So, continued thoughts and prayers for Nitro Jimmy to make a full and speedy recovery, because that was from what I heard, that was a very, very serious situation in the pits after that race. So continued thoughts and prayers out to Nitro Jimmy Williams and the family going through all this. Any other closing thoughts? If not, that'll do it for episode 15 of season 4 for the Track Packers podcast. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, let us know where you're watching and or listening from. Thank you to our sponsors, Hitch Harness, The Real Deal with B1 Brody Carlsrud, and Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro. Hopefully the weather gives us a little reprieve heading into this weekend so we can see all of you out there packing the track.